So this comes from Jeffrey Davis. Decades ago, I wrote to you and received a nice reply. I'm ashamed to say I don't remember. After watching a great TV programme, Every Picture Tells a Story, Jericho's Raft of the Medusa, which I still use with my students as a brilliant and entertaining exposition of the way in which paintings are open to different interpretations. You can see why I chose your question, Jeffrey. It's because it's full of so many compliments to me. But my question is this: why do you not like the work of Edvard Munch? Well, I can't say I don't like the work of Edvard Munch. I don't like the shape of his career, and I dislike, in particular, much of his later work, because I think he became trapped in the rut of his own perceived, rather miserable, existentially alienated personality. And I feel that his earlier work, which is full of a very genuine sense of anomie and melancholy and explores uncomfortable feelings with tremendous depth and expression, I feel that that then turns into a huge ball and chain that he carries around with himself for the rest of his life. And I personally believe that he simply ran out of ideas and inspiration as an artist. Yes, he succumbed even more deeply to depression, but I think that he became a kind of by-rote artist, a painter. A friend of mine whose opinion I respected very much at the time, he's no longer with us, once said to me while walking around an exhibition of Edvard Munch's works, in one of the later rooms, confronted by yet another image of the artist's sad, depressed vision, he said, "Once more without feeling." And that, for me, encapsulated it. It's that he's no longer making work that's true to the work. He's trying to create repetitions of work he's made before in a different guise, because that's the place where he feels comfortable. And I don't think artists make fantastic work when they're in a place where they feel comfortable, where it's all become predictable, where you know exactly what's going to happen next. So I hope that's not too long or complicated an explanation, but that's what I don't like and don't trust about Munch's later work. And I could say something very similar about my feelings for Giacometti, who I also think develops this rather extraordinary language of sculpture based on the art of the ancient Etruscans, it must be said. But he develops this language, and I think then just succumbs to this terrible, terrible disease of self-repetition. And for me, the later work, again, just loses all sense of authenticity, and it just seems to me to be mass-produced in a rather peculiar and soulless way, and a way that's totally at odds with the expressionist rhetoric, and this is true of Munch as well. The expressionist rhetoric with which it's created, which is all about being true to the self, being true to one's meanings and feelings. In the case of an artist like Andy Warhol, who repeats himself ad nauseam, it's fine because repetition, the mass media's modes of repetition, these are Andy Warhol's subjects. Repetition is what he's about. He's anatomizing repetition. So, a digression within a digression. But good question, and I hope, Jeffrey, I've given you some food for thought.